Good morning, good evening, friends. Welcome to my channel, Ek Kitab Se Ek Moti. Today I'm going to read a few lines from the book Personality Development, which is a selection from the complete works of Swami Vivekananda. That is, the editors of this book have selected or chosen or extracted some portions related to personality development from the complete works of Swami Vivekananda, which comprises 8 or 9 volumes. And so it's a huge book. So from that huge set of 8 or 9 books, the editors have selected or extracted these gems from the complete works, and they've made it into a booklet. It's a small book, actually, Personality Development by Swami Vivekananda. So I encourage you to buy this book, or you can download an online version. It is available online. So I'm going to read this chapter from this book, and then we'll have a brief discussion on it. Change yourself first. We have seen that it is the subjective world that rules the objective. Change the subject, and the object is bound to change. Purify yourself, and the world is bound to be purified. This one thing requires to be taught now more than ever before. We are becoming more and more busy about our neighbours and less about ourselves. The world will change if we change. If we are pure, the world will become pure. The question is why I should see evil in others. I cannot see evil unless I be evil. I cannot be miserable unless I am weak. Things that used to make me miserable when I was a child do not do so now. The subject changed, so the object was bound to change. So says the Vedanta. Vedanta is the traditional Indian philosophy, which is based on the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Brahma Sutras. Thus, the man that has practiced control over himself cannot be acted upon by anything outside. There is no more slavery for him. His mind has become free. Such a man alone is fit to live well in the world. We generally find men holding two opinions regarding the world. Some are pessimists and say, how horrible this world is, how wicked. Some others are optimists and say, how beautiful this world is, how wonderful. To those who have not controlled their own minds, the world is either full of evil or at best a mixture of good and evil. This very world will become to us an optimistic world when we become masters of our own minds. Nothing will then work upon us as good or evil. We shall find everything to be in its proper place, to be harmonious. The more we grow in love and virtue and holiness, the more we see love and virtue and holiness outside. All condemnation of others really condemns ourselves. Adjust the microcosm, which is in your power to do, and the macrocosm will adjust itself for you. It is like the hydrostatic paradox. One drop of water can balance the universe. We cannot see outside what we are not inside. The universe is to us what the huge engine is to the miniature engine. An indication of any error in the tiny engine leads us to imagine trouble in the huge one. Every step that has been really gained in the world has been gained by love. Criticizing can never do any good. It has been tried for thousands of years. Condemnation accomplishes nothing. Even if you read this book, this bestseller and a self-help classic, How to Win Friends and Influence People, the first chapter is on avoiding this bad habit of condemning and criticizing others, and that's what Swami Vivekananda also talks about. But the main part of this thing is that the subjective world determines the objective experience of ours. That's why you'll see that, anyone who is rude will often see that others behave in a rude way, towards them. And if a person is polite, he'll generally come across people who are polite and gentle towards him. So the world is just like a mirror, actually. It reflects those things back to us, or, it just shows us what we are. So that's why in most of the great scriptures of the world, emphasis is laid on changing ourselves first, and then we'll see a different world. That's why the Bible says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. That is, you change your mind, you change your attitude, your subjective way of looking at the world, and the world will start looking different, and you'll start experiencing a different world. If you look for mistakes of others, if you condemn others, if you criticize others, if you hate others, that's what you're going to get back from others. But if you have this unconditional goodwill for others, that's what you'll mostly experience in this life. That's why in the Bhagavad Gita there is a great line that says, Nahi Durgatim Tat Nahi, I'm just trying to remember the first part of it. Nahi Kalyanakrit Durgatim Tat Gacchati. That is, anyone who thinks of the good of the world or has nothing but goodwill for others. Kalyan is like all auspiciousness and goodness, or for the doer of good, or for the doer of auspicious things in the world, or for the doer of virtue. Nothing, there can be no destruction, or Durgati, the translation, a better translation could be like they won't fall under calamity. There can be no calamity for that person, who has goodwill and who does good things in the world. But anyhow, this is a slight digression. So I think this is what is the essence of religion as well. So all religions teach that we should work on ourselves and on our attitudes, and we should transform ourselves from within, and the world will be transformed. Renew your mind and you'll look at the world in a completely new way. Let me think of an example that would illustrate this point that Swami Vivekananda has made. Let me see if I can think of something from some real life example. Let's say you're at the workplace and you have your co-workers, whom you work with. So if you have a critical mindset, and if you look for the faults of others, what will happen is, let's say there is some task that comes to you, from some other team, and then you see that there is some activity that, for which we are dependent on them, or we have a dependence on some other team for some part of our task or job. So if we condemn others, then we'll try to find fault with what has been provided to us, and we'll try to blame others when we are unable to meet the deadline. So this way will only bring us blame as well. So the other team will blame us for not having done our jobs well, or not having planned well, or not having let them know in time about some problems that they had. But if we don't have a condemning attitude, and when we just think of improving ourselves, then even if we get some kind of bad input from some other team, we will just make some effort, and we'll just try to fix that instead of blaming the other team for that. And that way we can maintain that goodwill with other team members, and so others will also not find fault with us. I'm not sure whether this is a good example to illustrate this point. Now let me think of a spiritual example. So I think all spirituality starts with self-purification. So the selfless man is the happiest man in the world. The selfish man is the contrary to all indications, is the most unhappy being on this planet. The most selfish man is the most unhappy man. The most selfless man is the most happy man. So selfish people actually want some good thing for themselves from the external world, and they constantly, expect something out of the world. The world has been designed for that. The world has not been designed for, to provide us all the pleasures of the world. The world contains death, it contains disease, it contains old age, it contains sickness, it contains pain, it contains all kinds of problems that any human being can imagine. So the world is a mix of good and evil. So all these things will need to be experienced. So a selfish man just wants good things from the world. That's not possible. The world cannot give that to us. But a selfless man has no expectations, or whether it's good or bad, evil behavior of others, good behavior of others, friends, enemies, heat and cold, praise and blame. Everything is the same for that person, because when the self of the person is dead, when this concept comes in even in the New Testament and even in the Bhagavad Gita, where the first attribute of a man of great spiritual maturity in the Gita is that that person has completely driven away all desire. What is desire? Desire is just selfishness. I mean, you want something for the self, some kind of pleasure. Pleasure seeking is desire. So once you completely root it out, you are the most selfless person in the world. And similarly, in the Bible, there's this talk about crucifying the self. That is, I think Paul says, I have been crucified with Christ, so I don't live within myself, Christ lives. So the idea is that you just completely crush the flesh or the selfish nature, and then the universal spirit or godly nature will be, you'll be filled with that spirit. So that's the idea in most of the major religions of the world. So that's what Swami Vivekananda is also trying to say. That is, you purify yourself and the world will seem pure to you. I hope you liked the video. I would encourage you to buy this book and read it. It contains excellent chapters on how to improve your personality. Personality in a sense, your way of thinking, your self-control, your concentration, your focus, the way you work, your self-purification, and so on. So everything related to our personality has been mentioned in this book. So buy it, read it, or you can read it from these online versions that are available on the internet. Thanks for watching.